Hey, how you guys doing today? This is the On the Fence podcast. It's your boy Big Don, and sitting to my left is
This is Garrett Scheck of course, the greatest, the myth, the man, the legend.
even for a Falcon fan.
Hey,
You know what I'm saying? So it's been a long time since we gave you a dope pod to listen to. So
hey man, the Falcons are giving me enough to stress about.
hey, it is what it is. Meanwhile, Saints actually look like they want to do something, but I believe when I see it. You know what I mean? So tonight is the third episode that we're recording. Tonight we're going to talk about good old cancel culture. Best thing in the world. Greatest
So
thing since
does this
sliced bread.
include who are these people? Who are these people?
What do you mean these people?
Like who belongs in cancel? Who is responsible for cancel culture? You get in a lot less trouble than I would as a straight white male. Target's already on my back.
As a straight black man, that is the CEO of Black Men Don't
That's
Cheat.
not that's not what I heard.
But nah, it honestly, so I feel like every population segment is responsible for cancel culture.
Oh yeah, all in their own unique little way.
You can say its origins originates in feminism or people who are trying to combat quote unquote rape culture, all because of the person it originated from. So I didn't see the documentary, but if anybody is familiar with, I'm probably gonna butcher her first name, Tarana Burke. She was actually the first to come out with the Me Too movement, dating all the way back to the late 2000s. And like with any movement, it starts off as organic, actually.
Yeah, people mean well.
Yeah,
and
sparking change.
The goal is there, the ideology is there, and the cause is good.
Yeah.
But as we'll see soon, it quickly gets corrupted.
Right. You fast forward 13 years later, literally the age of an 8th grader.
And now you want to cancel Dave Chappelle because he said mean things.
Yeah, if somebody sneezes too loud, cancel. Politicians have a field day off of it. Confirmation bias. Confirmation bias started cancel culture. Like, I really think, because everybody wants to be right.
That's true.
Nobody wants to deal with people with an opposing viewpoint or just a different way of looking at things, because people fail or people don't want to or don't care about trying to see how other people perceive things.
Yeah, and there's a good bit of, I'm right and you're wrong. That's all there is to it. There's no room for negotiation, discussions. And on episode 2, we talked a little bit about people wanting to not talk to each other because they are so stuck in what they believe that, the example I gave is that extreme LGBT community members and very conservative Christians, are both guilty of it because LGBT community wants to say that all these Christians are homophobic and don't like gay people, which is not entirely the truth. But the same thing can be said about Christians and, the ones that would say that gay people are all going to hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sure those people make up very small percentages. But the problem is that we give these people the loudest megaphone that we can.
Well, we allow them to dictate, because I think the numbers will show that maybe 10 to 15% of the standing American population is atheists. You know what I'm saying? But however, we let that 10 to 15% take prayer out of schools. Whether you're Christian or not, if people want to pray, long as they're not shoving it down somebody else's throat, regardless of what the denomination is, religion, however you want to frame it.
I'm more surprised that came out of your mouth than mine. I would actually disagree with that.
Yeah.
In a certain manner of speaking. A lot of Christians, and this is probably more than the Christians I was talking about prior with the LGBTQ, but a lot of Christians are probably like, well, you need to allow God and prayers in school. My counter argument is, and I'm a Christian, but my counter argument is, so is that Jesus or is that Allah or is that Satan? And they're like, well, there's only one true God. And I was like, you're absolutely right, but that God is the same God over all 3 Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but Jesus Christ. And I'm like, So can they worship Allah? And can they pray 5 times a day? Do we all have to pray 5 times a day? Or do you want them to have to conform to our religious culture?
It's assimilation. Like the American way is assimilation.
Yeah.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Every American way is basically making everybody have the 2.5 kids, the white picket fence.
Isn't it disgusting?
Yeah, I know, right? Praying to
I just insulted a whole bunch of people.
facts. Praying to blue-eyed Jesus. Like, all right, like I'm a Christian and I was raised Baptist. However, the way I look at it is even with religion, that causes a huge divide because like when we sit down and we pray to Jesus, the Middle East connects Africa to Asia. You can say that it's part of Africa and it's a part of Asia. There's no way that, you know what I'm saying, Jesus had blue eyes and fair skin.
No, I'm of the firm belief that Jesus is from the Middle East, and they're certainly not white people.
Yeah, and the thing is
I don't care what Michelangelo tells you.
right, and the thing is too, it's like when we sit down, like we always say, like the Middle East is the only place we don't attach a continent to, and so I say all that to bring it back. So when you're talking with Christians, extreme Christians that refuse to change their viewpoint.
Right.
I've told Christians like, hey, like fellow Christians, like, hey, you're supposed to accept anybody for who they are.
Absolutely. I think any good preacher would tell you.
Yeah,
that.
regardless of color or sexual orientation. I mean, you think about it, we put up depictions of what you want. Everybody wants Jesus to look like them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those deals where I'm just like, if we can't worship the right way, what makes you think, you know what I'm saying, we're going to go about, because at its core, cancel culture can be a good thing. Like if somebody is a sick, demented individual, we do not support them and we siphon off all funds to them.
But
you know what I'm saying?
So the problem is, it started with the Me Too movement with the woman from, R. Kelly, that situation. And, we've deemed, he's guilty, right? With that, we've determined that much. That whole situation has kind of been wishy-washy, but I mean, there's...
Well, you follow the money. So the thing is like R. Kelly, the man, is starting to suffer now, but at the height of his success, he was worth too much money to too many people. You're not going to get rid of that cash cow. You know what I'm saying? So, and anytime you're great at a particular thing that you do in life, people will overlook all your flaws.
Yeah.
And just wait until your talent no longer produces a certain result or a certain amount of assets. And that's what happened to R. Kelly. Nobody cared about, those girls or those women, you know what I'm saying? And I'll say...
I remember being younger and it first coming out and everybody was like, I can't believe this, or, something similar to that. And it died off for a long time until they redid the documentary. And all of a sudden it was like, so now you people care? Like...
Yeah, but what's crazy is, so at the height of the cases and the allegations, anytime he did a Christian song, a charge got dropped. When he did You Save Me, charge got dropped. You know what I'm saying? So and comedians been making fun of it for years.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So like Hollywood will make fun of something for the longest time, we just ignore it. Like even if you look at Bruce Jenner or Caitlyn Jenner, whatever you prefer to call him, her, whatever, Hollywood made fun of his sexuality, his gender for 30 years. Like there's episodes of that old sitcom Married with Children.
A Family Guy did it before he even went through the surgery. Family Guy was like, "We call this."
you know what I'm saying? But
can we say that? We can say that, right?
Yeah, we should. But yeah, so I mean, at its core, like I feel like cancel culture. I hate saying it because it's a cliche term now, but it's insanely toxic because now you have artists who can't say and do what they want to do. Politicians are starting to throw it around. Businesses are starting to get affected. And a lot of times it's off the strength of an allegation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No evidence. No burden of evidence.
Because like with the whole Me Too deal, I forgot which guy it was exactly, but in response, they ended up starting a hashtag Him Too movement. And his whole thing was you can't you can't penalize people off of an allegation. Like,
Right.
let justice have its due. You know what I'm saying? I've been in situations. I remember when I was in junior high, I seen a kid get arrested for a rape he didn't do. He hooked up with a chick in the bathroom. She was saying it felt good, this, that, and the third. And then when she got caught, she was like, it hurt. He took me. Next thing you know, 12-year-old me watching a classmate get arrested and hauled off to jail.
Yeah.
He's a blue dot for the rest of his life. You
And
know
that's
what I'm saying?
that's not the only, like, there's several situations like that, and there are more situations. These 16-year-old girls sneaking into bar rooms and things like
Oh,
that
yeah.
with fake IDs,
Yeah.
and then hooking up with men in there, and then being like, a couple weeks later, like, he raped me. And it was like, you were willing, you went home with this guy, and obviously he's of the assumption that you're of age because you were in
Yeah.
a bar where it's 18 or 21 and older.
Nobody IDs a hookup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's actually my biggest fear in life is, for the duration of time that I'm still a bachelor, is me taking a woman home to find out she's underage. What opened up my eyes to it was actually the fact that I started coaching at 20, the fact that I started teaching at 24, 25. I would see a lot of people at the schools that I was affiliated with at the same bars that I go to. And the fact that I'm still young now and I go to certain bars, like, I see people who even now shouldn't be in there. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where you're inviting things to happen because you're being a dumb kid playing with somebody's livelihood. I actually had an athlete I coached. He went to a party, met a chick. The girl told him it was cool if he came over. And if he didn't get off the couch when he did, and if he didn't have text message receipts, he would have went to jail because he was 17 and this girl was like 13, 14, point blank period. She initiated everything. Like, there's women who get raped, there's men who get raped, you know what I'm saying, be it sexual assault, mental, physical abuse, what have you. But the allegations have to be pure, and we have to not victim shame.
Yeah,
but we have to also go forward and seek truth, because what
Yeah.
happens is, when it's a business, when it's a public figure, you know what I'm saying, and even beyond sexual assault, just anything in
any kind of allegation.
yeah, you know what I'm saying, like
burden of
people
proof.
getting in trouble for 8-year-old tweets, people getting in trouble
Yeah.
for something they said when they were 15, 16. People are allowed to grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a 30-year-old idiot. I shouldn't get penalized for something I said. 16-year-old me on MySpace shouldn't penalize 38-year-old me down the line.
It seems, when it comes to cancel culture or outrage culture, that the need for self-justification to condemn somebody solely because they disagree with how you believe, that feeling is so strong that evidence doesn't matter, and that they're right and you're wrong. And if you disagree with them, you are not only attacking their image, but you are attacking them, and the response for that attack is physical violence.
Yeah.
It certainly seems that way.
Yeah, you're the enemy, and the fact that, you know what I'm saying, people don't even, like, we at a point where, like, discourse is damn near a figment of our imagination. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember during the 16 campaign, that was actually not to make it about race, but this black guy had on a trench coat at a Trump rally, and he was taking the coat off, and people automatically assumed, because he had on a trench coat, that he was anti-Trump and he was protesting, and they beat the dog crap out of him. And he was like, "What are y'all doing? I'm one of y'all," and he had on a Trump shirt underneath. You know what I mean? Like, that's the point that we're at, where, for every Kevin Spacey, there's an innocent guy that didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And you can't pick and choose who you want to cancel. Like, to me, cancel culture is stupid. Separate the businesses and the people from, because let's say person A owned a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate and they were an idiot. Well, yeah, you can cancel it, but not only are you hurting that person, you're hurting the good people that depend on that one person for their livelihood.
Right.
So, like, it's a greater good that's also a greater bad.
Right. So it certainly seems like it became very popular during the Obama administration and I'm only using that as a time reference
Yeah,
because
no, for sure.
it didn't start with Obama or
Yeah.
its administration. It seemed like, at least I became aware of it when I was in the military. So that was right after Obama got elected for his second term,
Yeah.
or right before, because he was actually running against Romney when I got home from Afghanistan. It seemed at the time like it manifested itself on the far left spectrum of the or on the far left of the political spectrum.
Yeah, initially.
And it just since it's grown more there, but it has also planted itself amongst the far right and many, I would call them boomer conservatives.
Yeah.
The people who don't tell the difference between ads and websites.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You fight fire with fire, you know what I'm saying? And the whole eye for an eye mindset when it comes to cancel culture, it to quote, Dr. King, it'll leave everybody blind, you know what I'm saying? But I really don't see cancel culture going away because of social media, because from 2007,
that's probably the driving factor behind it all.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah, because I mean, also
that's when Twitter got really big.
Yeah.
That's when Facebook grew more.
Yeah. Because I mean,
Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah, you look at 2007. Like 2007 was already like a similar moment, as far as technology and social media, and you speed past to 2010. Where Facebook started accepting non-college emails, and that started growing, and then that was by like year 2 or 3 of Twitter, and then after that, once Vine and Instagram and Snap, and now we're at a point to where all of these social media platforms is its own billion-dollar machine, and I mean, all social media is word of mouth. Like, we've always had social media before the digital era.
Yeah.
But the digital era has so many pros and cons because things spread so much faster now.
There are multiple things inside of what social media is that drives this, and that's one, if you belong to, I think a big problem is this, is people are putting the group that they belong to ahead of the individual that they are.
Yeah.
So if you're a black gay woman, most importantly, you're probably, there's a hierarchy of victimization based on your identity.
Right.
So as a straight white male, I'm on the bottom of this, right? Like, my group is not oppressed, and I would never claim to be oppressed or anything like that. I'm not a victim or anything. I'm aware of this. But just because you belong to one of these groups doesn't make you a victim either.
No, that's true. Like, there's people. I actually met this chick at the gym. She's a senior in high school, and she actually happens to work at this gym. And there's like a lot of like slangs or idioms, whatever you want to say, like a lot of cultural stuff that you would assume that she know just off the strength that she's black, and she doesn't. And that was like the dopest thing to me ever, you know what I'm saying? And like, her life has been filled with advantages that I didn't necessarily have growing up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so
it's
to
easy
further your point.
It's easy to look at somebody and be like, he's a straight white male, he's a Christian, he probably didn't grow up in poverty. But that's not that could be further from the truth.
Right.
My mom worked 2 jobs and was in school full time, pretty much from my 7th grade year till I graduated high school.
Right.
She made very little weekly, and I saw her very little because of the time she'd put in trying to make a better life for herself, which she did eventually.
Right.
But I grew up in a single parent home.
Right.
And I struggle with everyday life just like everybody else does.
Right.
The fact that I am who I am doesn't define what I've gone through.
Right.
That is an individual experience that this whole situation seems to ignore.
Right.
And it's infected our political system like a cancer.
Right.
So a lot of it started with the Me Too movement, which we went over is originally a good thing.
Yeah.
It was shedding light on subjects that needed to be shed, but it's manifested itself into something now that could have happened by mistake. Mm-hmm. And put this in perspective, I have a family member who works in an area that's very tight. This area only hires women because they're scared that if a man goes back there, if he accidentally bumps into a woman, that they could have potential lawsuits. And this is a risk that this business is worried about. So you know that this is posing a threat, which might be the point to somebody, but it's not right.
Right, because there's also opened up a lawsuit if a man decides to sue based on discrimination, which
Right.
which they can. Which random tidbit, which is probably something we could talk about on another day. There's actually a case involving Byron Allen with something similar. It's an old civil rights act from 1865 with Comcast and Charter. But I feel like cancel culture is rooted now. It really is rooted in discrimination. Like if I hopped on a stage, like let's say for whatever reason I end up being famous tomorrow for something random, and I crack a joke in passing about a certain feminist, or if I crack a gay joke, I'm gonna have to apologize for that. And cancel culture is actually keeping some people from being satirized. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you can't satire any and everything and any and everybody, then you know what I'm saying, what's the point? Like society is so thin-skinned and then so politically correct that now being politically correct is starting to be incorrect.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And we're going into this. I say going into it. We've kind of been there for a while. It is adversely affecting the First Amendment when it comes to the entertainment industry, but it's also moving its way into the political system.
Yeah.
So, to hit on the first of the two, Dave Chappelle came out with his new special, and he really didn't say anything very offensive about the LGBT community.
No.
But they got outraged at him because they mentioned it. I don't remember exactly how his joke went, but it was only 5 or 10 minutes of his entire special.
Yeah.
But he brought up past that people were getting offended at him at prior work than that. And he's like, I'm a comedian. You can't be mad because I told a joke about your group. And he's like, I made fun of the KKK. I've made fun of the left. I've made fun of the right. I've made fun of men. I've made fun of women.
Right.
You're not special because I made fun of you.
Right.
You're just the most offended now, which in essence makes you the easiest target now.
Yeah. And basically all the joke was, the premise was, he had somebody from each group sitting in the car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he actually was talking about.
You think it was referring to people as the alphabet people?
Yeah, he said that too, and like in the one memorable quote from that part of his act,
it was not the L's, the B's, or the G's.
Yeah, it was the T's, just the T's. You know what I'm saying? He basically was, if anything, he spoke in support of transgender people. Cause he was like, imagine, and that was even something he said. He said, imagine society viewing you as something that at your core you feel and you know that you're not. But people took that one snippet and ran with it. You can't do that. You got to look at the before and the after.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that's become popular. It's easy to take this list of things people say, find 2 or 3 lines within that, and take it completely out of context.
Yeah.
We see this all the time in the political atmosphere. People constantly trying to damage their political opponents in any way that they can, instead of just running a clean race.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, like, locally, there was an example of. Which was something that I remember I actually posted a video about on the page. There was an incident at a school involving a white faculty member and a black female student.
Yeah.
And people just looked at a 30-second clip, didn't know what happened before and after.
Or have any understanding of what is expected of the education system.
Yeah, and when the truth came out about what actually happened, everybody shut the heck up about it. I remember, I caught some flack for what I said, and what a lot of people didn't know was, I wasn't guaranteed to get that job, but I threw my hat, you know what I'm saying, in the ring.
How dare you disagree with anybody these days?
Yeah, I know, right?
And this is what this is all focused on.
Right.
And like I said, Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr a little bit, but I watched his special, and I'm not really sure what they got offended about. I don't remember anything that would have been too offensive.
I forgot some of the stuff, but I remember he said something about he probably won't be able to get another show in the States again. But I mean, Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle have been doing observational comedy for 30 plus years. You have comedians like Daniel Tosh and Jeselnik who does dark humor. You have guys like Pete Davidson who does dark humor. You have guys like Bill Hicks who passed away 20, 30 some odd years ago who did dark humor. Nothing's wrong with satire. Making
these
fun
guys,
of stuff.
their job is to push the limits of what they say. That's why it's funny.
And you sneak the truth in.
And then you got people, and you got people like the Young Turks who will say like, "Oh no, you're allowed to say it, but it's just not funny because you're making fun of somebody." Find me a comedy special anywhere on Netflix, anywhere on Hulu, where somebody isn't being made fun of.
No,
That's the thing. You got to take what these people say lightly and not get so outraged. But like I said, the need for self-justification for any kind of argumentative or even sometimes physical violence is so strong that they feel the need that they have to go after and attack anybody who slightly veers off of the. And you see this on the left especially. If you veer any kind of way from what they believe, they will throw you out to the wolves.
Yeah, because you got to understand, like, so what the left does is the left panders to people who are either minorities or people who feel like they're oppressed.
While the right ignores them.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So, and then on the right-hand side, they will gladly highlight the people who don't necessarily look like a conservative, you know what I'm saying? But,
yeah.
But in essence, all right, like with black people owned it. We made fun of other people. We made fun of ourselves. Boom, move the culture ahead.
Oh, it's all white people.
You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
it's not all white people.
Yeah.
It started with white people.
But when you sit down and look at it,
They're the worst.
if you go back over the last 30 years, gay, and this is outside looking in, but extreme gay people, because each population segment have a small group of idiotic people.
Oh yeah.
But they've been at the forefront of cancel culture. Arsenio Hall got into it with a gay guy on his talk show in the early 90s because the gay guy was like, "Why you don't have on more gay guests?" And he's like, "A lot of my guests are gay, but it's their business unless they want to come out and say it." Eddie Murphy in the 80s with Raw and Delirious came on the fire from making fun of gay people, and he cracked jokes about it. It's when people embrace the satire and they can laugh at themselves, they keep it moving. That's why I got some of the gay friends I have, they laugh at some of those jokes that the quote unquote cancel culture police finds overly offensive. You can't get butthurt and offended by any and everything.
And I know, so Kevin Hart also had to come out and apologize for something he said a long time. And the problem with these views are that they'll go back 30, 40 years and find a clip of something that wouldn't have meant anything then and try to apply it to the rules and landscape that we have today.
Yeah.
If you try to take a black community and white community to do that, you're going to find something that somebody said in the 30s highly racist if they said it today.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't hold people in 1875 to the standard of what we have today. Right? So Thomas Jefferson, who was one of my favorite political figures, was a slave owner. Mm-hmm. And people are like, "Oh, well, it's just another white slave owner." He's like, "Yeah, but he fought to free slaves more than anybody at the time. Yeah. He had 3 major attempts at it." But we're not going to acknowledge that, right? Just because of who he was.
And his side chick was black.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's.
I don't know if he'd have called her a side chick though.
All right, his main piece, who he knocked up a whole bunch of times.
Well,
But you know what's crazy? That family still don't get along to this day. Like the black Jefferson descendants and the white Jefferson descendants don't see eye to eye, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if I've ever met a white person with the last name Jefferson at this point.
They're out there.
I'm sure. I just don't know.
Yeah, I never met a white person with the last name Freeman.
I have.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, his name is Josh Freeman. Oh no, I lied. Never mind. That's not his name.
But yeah, it's.
It was close though.
Yeah, right. Side note: that's why I used to laugh at Packer games because the big fullback, his last name was Coon.
Yeah. Man. I didn't laugh at that. I'm sure he's a good person and an outstanding athlete.
Some big white guy, his last name is Coon. Like the irony, irony,
It's like Paul Walker dying in a car crash.
Ugh.
which is not as funny.
Ugh.
But he is the star of a car show
Ugh.
or movie.
His family was furious that he went out so fast.
Boy, they're going to come after us. They're going to come after us with a vengeance.
Hey, but look, man, I have a dark sense of humor. It is what it is.
I mean,
you know.
You don't even need a dark sense of humor to not belong to this group. Like, who are you to tell me what I should be outraged at?
No, it's like trying to tell somebody like how to feel, like what they, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I won't ever understand it because it's, if the people who are outraged and want to cancel everything, if they took a second to stop and realize that they're starting to become what they hate, I think everything would just go a whole lot smoother. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I mean that's kind of how it impacts the entertainment industry, but it's also like eating its way into the political atmosphere, which has been doing for some time. It just hadn't been as prevalent.
Yeah.
I would say both the left and the right have gotten a lot worse with this since Trump has been elected. And like I said, I'm only using his presidency as a time frame, such as I did with Obama. But we saw when video footage came out that they were housing undocumented immigrants in these, holding cells, because the law is you can't put kids in jail with their parents. Right. And a lot of times it wasn't their parents that they were with; it was aunts, uncles, distant relatives, or sometimes even strangers. Right. But they came out with this thing and saying, this is the Trump administration, this is what they're doing, this is how evil. This has been going on since at least 2014. Yeah. That's 2 years before Trump got elected.
Yeah.
So what's to say this hasn't been going on since the Bush administration? You know what I mean?
It's a possibility. I mean, look how long it took Guantanamo Bay to come to light.
And those are terrorists.
Yeah, I had the mindset. Big Brother let us know what they want us to know about.
Yeah.
Whistleblowers aside.
But I'm sorry.
I was done.
Another thing was, and we've seen this big with also the Trump campaign or the presidency. The Covington Catholic High School kids, right? So this was all over the air. Nobody bothered to do research. They said there's a bunch of white Republican kids yelling at this Native American man. They're clearly in the wrong. They're Trump supporters. They're racist, and they don't belong here. And this blew up everywhere. Yeah. Not even a day later, the kids were like, "But we were all just yelling back and forth. We weren't doing it. Like, we didn't mean anything malicious." And even Aaron, was his name Nathan Peters? Is that right? I think it was Nathaniel Peters or something like that, something similar to it. And he was like, "Yeah, those kids actually didn't do anything wrong. Like, I was the one beating my thing in their face." Right. Phrasing.
But and this is the scary part too.
We got to edit that out, by the way.
And this is the scary part too. Is like with that, we're in an era where people will trace those kids' IP addresses.
Oh yeah.
Have their personal email, like
threaten their lives.
Yeah, and post it. Like you can't do that. You know
and then what happens is when they found out that was a bad report, they didn't just leave it alone. They went back and dug through an old high school basketball film, right? And they said it was a screenshot of a video that wasn't even up there for a second. It was like, oh, well, all these kids are dressed in blackface. It's clearly a racist organization. The thing is, it was a blackout game. So they all painted up all black. Right. And me and a mutual friend of ours, you can guess who it is, right, was like, oh, well, they're racist Trump supporters. And it's gotten to a point where if you're a Trump supporter, you're a racist.
Well, I'll do you one better. Cancel culture even affect things, in everyday life. Look at the coach at St. Aug who got fired over the locker room chant. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got a group full of black kids saying, hey, knock a nigga blank loose. That word's been embedded in our culture for centuries, decades, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and a predominantly white private Catholic school used that against a predominantly black Catholic school, and that coach who wasn't even in the locker room had to step down. Meanwhile, not even a full decade ago, that was a racist blackface incident at that school, but nobody's going to bring that back up. So now, in the middle of a football season, you got kids that are having to finish some of the seniors having to finish their career without a guy that they've been trusting for the last 3, 4, 5 years. There's a guy who lost out on income and a way to put food on the table for himself and his family because of some BS cancel culture. Like, not everybody deserves to get canned over something that you don't agree with.
And even if it is an offense, not every offense is as extreme as people are making it out to be.
Right.
So there was another video that just got put on Facebook, and it was a predominantly black, it might have been an all-black school, actually, a high school. They go into the locker room at halftime, and the coach said, how are you letting that slow white boy shut you down, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, the main argument to the other side is that it's like, well, what if it was a white coach saying that about a black kid, right?
And that gets said. So it's
you're
like,
right.
It's sports.
But it's like, play ball, man.
Like, that's what it comes down to. What people fail to understand is sports is its own unique culture.
Right.
And sports brings in people from a whole bunch of different backgrounds that necessarily wouldn't be around each other. But there's a lot of thoughts and theories that are embedded. It's a reason why white receivers and white cornerbacks have a hard time. It's a reason why you just seen a resurgence of white running backs. It's a reason why black guys don't like getting dunked on by the white kid. It's not necessarily that white kids aren't as athletic. It's a preconceived notion that black guys are naturally more athletic, which in all actuality, it just culturally is different. I remember at one school I used to work at, a kid walked up to me in the gym. He was like, Coach, I can't go play basketball on that end. And I said, why? He said, I'm too white for that side. I said, all right, let me ask you this. What's the first thing you do when you get home? And he was like, I do homework. I might play the game and I go to sleep. I said, okay, cool. You know the first thing they do when they get home? He's like, what they doing right now? Whatever you put the most time into, that's what you're going to be good at. Now, are there situations where American black people may have a small advantage? Possibly, but that's probably because if their family been here for 300 years, we're super breeded through slavery. That's the only reason why. They took the best of the best and kept breeding them. I grew up with white kids that ran 4.4s in the 40. You know what I'm saying? Athleticism, genetics play a part, but you still got to bust your tail in the gym and train.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that coach saying that about the white kid, white kids say it. St. Mike, I remember working the chains for a JV game my senior year. They had a white corner look at one of his teammates and said, man, they're gonna try to throw the ball on us because we white, and I bust out laughing. So you can't penalize him. Everybody thinks it. There was a coach that told one of my middle school athletes she couldn't be a sprinter in high school because that's a black girl event. And
I tell you what, there's no better as a white guy, and I still hear this every now and then. As a white guy, and I'm very short for an offensive lineman. It's just the way it goes. I love hearing, is that fat, short, white kid blocking you? Yeah, I am. Right. Yeah, I am. That's a compliment, though, and people got to see that for what it is.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because
like,
you bang it down a stereotype. The two things I always preach is a white guy can be just athletic as a black guy, and the black guy can be just as cerebral as a white guy. Well, we got to get past it, look at the skill set.
And that goes back to, we've said time and time again, it's about the individual.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to the NFL. I'm not a 6'5" offensive tackle. But I'm going to show up and give it all my effort.
Right.
And I would expect any athlete to do that, especially if you want to be successful at any level.
Yeah.
So we went over the Covington kids.
I think we pretty much hit all the nails on the head, as far as cancel culture and this, that, and the third. I mean, I think down the line it'll be dope to bring a couple of women, maybe somebody from the LGBT community, and see how they feel about cancel culture, or maybe some other minorities besides myself.
I think that's gonna boil down to we can find people that belong to every group, but we're not gonna find that extreme person that the news and the media constantly give that microphone to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's always the extreme people making the headlines.
Yeah.
Like I said, me and you, I mean, we agree fairly similarly, but we also disagree on a lot of things.
Right.
But we're not outraged at each other,
Right.
I'm not trying to get your podcast taken down.
Give it time. I'm going to say something stupid eventually.
There's a mic. Ain't no time like the present. Hey, if we're going to get canceled, I want to do it before I invest any more money.
No, I got to wait till the right time so that way we go viral and then we can start some like side projects, make more money.
You know, wait till we all running for Senate and everything.
Why not, man? Why not?
This white kid said mean things about this group.
I'm gonna just acknowledge it. Like, look, like that day come, like, and the thing is, you know what? Cancel culture is probably the reason why I can't ever run for a public office.
You know, man, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. If you feel the need to be a part of cancel culture, I don't like you. I think your beliefs are dumb.
But you know how you embrace cancel culture?
Not to say you're always unjustified,
Right.
but get a life. Go outside, get off of Call of Duty, go make some friends.
Nah, but like, if you think about like 20 years from now, you know what I'm saying? I wake up and, you know, I decide to run for an office. I'm going to have to worry about people trying to like post screenshots of stuff I said and did when I was a young man. Now, granted, I'm going to just acknowledge it.
Oh, I guarantee you, if you dig through like maybe not my MySpace, but you could dig somewhere and find something that's anti-gay. Because I used to not support it.
Yeah.
I'm more open to it now because I've grown. But this is the problem, right? Like,
you're not allowed to grow.
I'm here right now because I said I disagreed with the act of being gay when I was, I don't know, 14, 13. Right. Now you're holding that against me.
Right.
That's not the belief I have anymore.
Right.
I believe that individuals should be able to pursue their own happiness.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Look, I ain't going to be able to run because cancel culture because I've slid in too many DMs. Like, I flirt a lot.
I don't slide in DMs.
I troll a lot. You know what I'm saying?
They got websites for that.
That's true. That's true.
Apps.
But that's why I leave my face out of pictures. You know what I'm saying? The tattoos will give me away.
I mean,
but I'm gonna acknowledge it. I mean, it is what it is. I'm like, yeah, I'm human. That's like with Obama. He was like, all they caught on him was like he smoked a blunt and had an unpaid parking ticket. Jeb Bush, I inhaled.
They tried to. The right tried to crucify the youngest daughter because she had like half a joint or something.
Yeah, she's in college.
She's a college. Well, she might have been a senior in high school, but it's like
people experiment.
Yeah,
like, the same people criticizing them
or celebrating Joe Rogan doing DMT on.
No, but they were Woodstock babies. Let's just think about how many orgies and drugs were done in summer of '69.
You already getting me to make me throw up.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's
I bet it smell like dirt.
That's somebody grandma. You know what I'm saying? That's somebody grandma.
I bet you there's grandkids smell like dirt.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Like, ain't no generation perfect. You know what I mean? Like, the Roaring 20s. Like, you can't tell me the Great Gatsby era wasn't just a cesspool of sex, drugs, and alcohol and racism. You know what I'm saying? Like, Gangs of New York was a real thing. Like, New York was jacked up
I
back
love that
then.
movie.
It's a dope movie. You know what I'm saying? Based on real people. Somewhat inaccurately, but still true. You know what I'm saying?
What group of people do you feel like play the victim more than anybody? And I'm throwing you under the bus. But if you give an answer, I'll give an answer.
No, like, honestly, right now, I hate saying everybody, but it's everybody because
it certainly seems that way.
Yeah, because because everybody has to have a rebuttal. So like when Black Lives Matter, before it became a crappy political organization and it was an organic saying and there was people that wanted to incite change, you had people say all lives matter. Well, no crap, dimwit. We're just saying that we feel like targets. Yeah. And then you have people come out and say blue lives matter. I'm like, unless you're an alien from like the DC universe.
Blue life is not a thing.
Yeah, like you can take the uniform off. Like I can bleach my skin, but I'm still gonna be a big black. Like black people come in all shades and forms. You know what I'm saying? Just like with gay people.
Even with those particular groups you just mentioned, there are all events in recent history where I can understand how they feel victimized. So Black Lives Matter started because they felt like an unjust killing happened.
Yeah.
We can argue the statistics and the beliefs of that all day, and we've discussed it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the movement of Black Lives Matter, when it first took off, although started in a lie, was
But did it start with the Trayvon case or the Mike Brown case? Because the hands up, don't shoot.
Hands up, don't shoot.
Yeah, that was the Mike Brown one, which that's one of the cases where out of all of the BLM hands up, don't shoot joint, that's the one case where I side with the cop. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? But like, you know, but all the other cases were legitimate.
Yeah.
But even with gay people, like as much as like gay people like come at straight. I mean, and don't get me wrong, there's some crappy heterosexual people that throw some LGBT, whatever, how many letters they got today, because it might add 2 more letters by the time I wake up tomorrow morning.
Alphabet people, man.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? SpaghettiOs, whatever thing had the letters in it. But anyway.
Aaron, stop laughing at that.
But it's one of those deals where it's like, hey, y'all want to adopt kids? Y'all need us breeders to have these kids that we don't want, so y'all can adopt. It's a perfect circle. Let's just embrace each other.
Until we start having robot babies.
Oh no, that's gonna come.
But see, you know what's gonna happen if that happens? It ain't no longer gonna be white people, black people, Asian people. It's gonna be, well, we're humans and you're a robot, so we don't like you.
Right, and then because like you know they got
It's like if there were another planet with life forms, we would all be humans or like Earthlings, and they would be somebody else. And now we're all
yeah, you know what I'm saying. But no, that's gonna happen because they're making robots. They're making robots that's too realistic. So
outrage culture is stupid.
It is. But that's why the robots
people
already
who belong to it are stupid.
Right, but that's why the robots already want to kill us. You ain't see the robot chick that says she want to kill humans?
I might side with them to go ahead and be honest with you. Like,
man, look, I watched too much Terminator 2
we
as a
could
kid.
we could use a plague, to be honest.
Oh no, I'm too narcissistic, man. I can't die until I can no longer function. That's when I kick the bucket myself. But until then, you know what I mean. I got to pass these good genes on. I can't have Arnold Schwarzenegger clone coming for me. You know what I mean.
You know what? At this point in time, he might be kind of rusted. We might be all right.
Yeah. But that next gen coming.
I'm not about to test that theory, but.
Oh no, man, he's still in the gym, man. Then
that's fine.
He switched to that vegan lifestyle. Apparently, that's like nature steroids, just like eating veggies.
I'll let you know how it goes. I'm about to start eating.
So are we canceling meat? Is that like the next cancel? You know what? Vegans are the next group of cancel culture.
Whoa. First,
the next group.
Vegans themselves, maybe not. But I'm going to go ahead and put PETA on that stage.
Yeah.
You can't farm cows because you're killing them for sport.
Man, PETA almost canceled Mike Vick's career.
Dude, PETA very recently posted something about artificial inseminating cows, and they were like, yeah, they do it through the anal glands.
PETA inseminating cows?
No. They were.
No, but I get that. That's an idiotic statement.
They were arguing that farmers were being cruel by inseminating cows.
What animal can get pregnant through the butt?
They can't.
That's what I'm saying. like I was glossing over that on intentionally.
Vegans, PETA is your people, so I suggest you do something about that.
Hey, I'm a person eating tasty animals. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at.
Oh, me too.
That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? But
I'll tell you what though, I'm about to start the vegetarian diet.
I'm gonna go pescatarian first after the holidays.
That's pretty much what I'm doing. I'll let you know how it goes.
I gotta get the itis one more time before I give up. You know, meat. Like a Catholic schoolgirl that's trying to become a virgin again. That joke was coming.
Like a Catholic priest.
They're in the game. EA Sports. You know who's the game?
Stop it. All right, stop it. Stop it. We went too far. We went too far.
Too far is my middle name. It's actually my legal name, like their receiver in North Louisiana, Dakotas Crawford.
It's not what any woman's ever called.
The coldest to ever do it.
Oh yeah,
the coldest
to
ever
do it. Ain't he just signed with LSU?
He committed.
Yeah,
that's a dope name, man. I'm gonna give my future son the dopest name.
I tell you what, he better deliver.
Yeah, his name's gonna be You God T'Challa Jr. Killmonger Kelly. Like he's at birth, he's gonna get a Power 5 offer just at birth. You know what I mean? It's no secret that I date vanilla skinned women because I was a token black kid growing up. So
I've never seen you date anybody.
Hey, allegedly. I move in silence. You know what I'm saying? Like, dating for me is like a random hookup that falls into my lap. You know what I mean? I'm a piece of work, you know. I also think I'm overqualified, you know.
You didn't play the first year with us, did you?
Nah, year 2 and 3.
I got engaged on the 50-yard line.
Oh.
Went back next year and had to tell everybody it didn't work out. That was embarrassing.
Oh, no, not really, man. Hey, sometimes women be crazy.
Oh.
It's a cycle.
What'd you just say?
I said women be crazy. Look, so as much as women
canceled.
As much as women will sit there and say like guys are crazy, like guys become like ain't crap because they got their heart broken by an ain't crap woman. Like you just think about it. Like it's just a perfect cycle. Like,
hey, have you realized that the men ain't nothing crowds dropped about 75%?
Yeah.
Christmas must be getting close.
That's true. We're approaching the playoffs of cuffing season.
Yeah.
I'm a 3-time cuff league MVP myself. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I was gonna get it. Like everything starts with women. You know what I mean? Like you look in the Bible. Samson cut his hair. Delilah. Adam ate the fruit. Eve.
Are you blaming women for all of society's shortcomings? Is that what you're doing right now?
Nah, because Because if you think about it, all right, apparently God, is a man. I did have one theologian argue that there's a Bible verse where it says her, but either way, like God knew everything was going to happen. So,
I'm not convinced that God has a gender.
Yeah.
Because it's not a physical being.
It says he.
It does say he.
King James is a very credible person from a historical sense. A great man of virtue, first of all.
You can't see the face that I'm giving him right now.
So I'm gonna ride with King James. There's two James I ride with, and they both call King. A man that gave us that translation of the Bible, and LeBron when he's dunking on somebody in transition off of an alley. Outside of that,
MJ's still better.
Hey, allegedly.
Oh,
MJ
no.
It's better. You know what I'm saying?
6.
Hey. He played 15 years. The Wizard years count. He went to 6 finals out of 13 years.
How many finals LeBron got to lose though?
It ain't his fault that he ran into super teams after super teams.
I'm not even much basketball fan. I just like to argue.
Hey, it is. Hey, it's just one of those things, bro. I got theories for days, man. Look,
I got a theory.
What's up?
Epstein didn't kill himself.
Who's this Epstein fellow? I don't know who Epstein is. I know Einstein.
You're a liar and you're a bad one.
I haven't lied since I got out of bed this morning. I only lied down to go to sleep.
You said black men don't cheat. You didn't say black men don't lie.
Lying is a form of cheating. So by lying, I'll be cheating in it. So as
you're losing credibility.
Nah, man, black men don't cheat.
You're taking away from your.
I can't even cheat in Uno.
From your core value system.
You
ain't cheating. You're lying.
I'm the co-founder of FBI.
You're the one that related cheating to lying.
Faithful Black Men Incorporation. You know what I mean? I have honest Abe. But I'm actually telling the truth because Honest Abe was kind of ironic.
Honest Abe, the guy who wanted to send African Americans back to Africa. That Honest Abe.
It was a dope time, and we was just chilling on Savannah, and then one village got conquered by another village. They sold some people overseas. Think like, hey, y'all probably gonna treat our prisoners this way we treat them, not knowing we're gonna be picking cotton, singing Negro spirituals for 200 years. You know what I'm saying?
Did you just say that?
Yeah, I did. I did. I mean, Africa got all the resources. It'd be a dope time if people were getting killed for chocolate and diamonds.
I don't much do this on air and announce what future episodes we may have. I would love to do a Civil War episode. I think that'd be great.
Oh, that'd be dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I get mad.
We have to get Jaron in for that one.
Yeah, I got a couple of fraternity brothers that TA history at Southeastern. Yeah. Get them. Matter of fact, one's a tour guide for Myrtles.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I saw a joke about that, by the way. It was like America's the only country. You know what I'm saying? Like, we spend money on plantations. You know what I'm saying? Like, people go to plantations and drove. Ain't nobody going to a gas chamber in Germany. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody having a sleepover or like a gas chamber wedding. But we have a plantation wedding here.
Isn't Auschwitz still like a museum?
Like, you can have a museum, but who's having an Auschwitz wedding?
Who's
having an Auschwitz hotel?
You got
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it don't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it is what it is. You know, when I walk through a plantation with a blue-eyed brunette, I'm doing it for the culture. You know what I mean? I can't even speak. Ancestor I had that got 1,000 lashings for not getting that barrel of cotton. He looking down like, I'll tell you what, you pissed him. Good job.
Man.
I told you I was gonna come with the jokes tonight, man. Trolling everybody.
Hey, we need some humor. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man. Look, cancel culture is hilarious. It doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Why gay people get mad in America when in Russia they don't even acknowledge their existence? Like, they literally say gay people don't exist. They treat them like unicorns. That's an actual fact. So American gay people cannot be pissed off. Like, literally the only gay rights
because, comrade, you are an conformist.
A
conformist.
Gay people just want to get married. You know what? Let gay people get married. All right. And
if it doesn't affect you, why does it matter?
Just let them get married. I'm going to get ordained just so I can marry any and everybody.
Here's the thing. If you're spending every waking minute trying to put down on somebody just needs to punch you in the mouth. Right. Straight up.
and look, for women, all right, hey, if they do the same job, pay them the same, if they're good enough.
Let me ask you this. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Let's say a woman is hitting on a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does that man do in response? What is justified?
If he is about receiving, being hit on by her. Look, I've been hit on by coworkers. I've been sexually harassed by female coworkers. But as a man, I can't go make that complaint. I'm gonna get laughed at by men and women. It's a double standard. That's why cancel culture is a joke.
Oh yeah,
Me
double
Too,
standard. Big
Me
time.
Too movement is a joke. All this rape culture stuff is a joke. People just gotta stop being crappy people. We treat everybody with love and acceptance and
I like how you
understanding.
switched that up real
Yeah,
quick.
you like that, huh?
yeah, that was impressive.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know, I mean, it is what it is, bro. Just people just got to be good people and treat each other right. That's why I'm doing my part. I mess with women that ain't black 'cause I'm trying to get everybody the same color. Then after that, you know what I mean, we just tell people like, hey, it don't matter who you mess with from a sexual orientation standpoint, just love each other. Then after that, be non-denomination religion, you know what I'm saying? Everybody either be non-denominational or agnostic. We just get rid of atheism, you know, Catholicism, Islam. We just get rid of everything. I
don't like extreme atheists.
Yeah.
You know the people you meet that are always like, they're the people who are like, there is no evidence for God, so he clearly doesn't exist. But you know the dude didn't even pass high school biology.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying there's not good arguments for both, because there certainly is. And one of my favorite things to do is watch intense debates on religion.
Right.
They're incredibly smart. They're sophisticated. You know, they're fun to listen to, and I like breaking them down and forming my own opinion. You know,
Right.
You got to listen to the highest people. I'm not about to listen to some dude who dropped out of high school biology.
Hey, but it's
and
cool.
Tell me how the Earth was created.
Like he ate a few caps of shrooms and his third eye opened, and he's enlightened because he's a yogi, so his chakra's on point. Henceforth, he's connected with the universe or the multiverse. It's a little string theory later. You know what I'm saying? Hey. The looks on y'all faces is just.
I can't wait to get the camera rolling. To be honest with you, that'd make our show a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm a small guy, so I need the 10 pounds from the camera. You know. Yeah, man.
Is that your water or mine?
That's yours. I drunk mine. It's cold outside, so you pour water on me.
Nah, you just thirsty.
I am.
Is there anybody we haven't offended yet? Because we could get to that real quick.
Yeah, like what's the time limit? Like you just give me a group, and I got you. 3 minutes. What group you would like to hear, Aaron? We just go in.
Hey, we can do some improv real quick.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I don't.
Aaron doesn't want to give us a name. He don't want to get in trouble.
Right. Asian joke? Well, I gave you the Asian jokes earlier. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not about to raise jokes because I'm a straight white male. I'd be canceled real quick.
You know NASCAR fans are racist.
You don't say.
Yeah, because like they study the history of car races. If you study something, it's a science. Like scientists, biologists, racists. You like that?
Shut up.
As a track and field coach, I'm racist. I study the history of track and field races.
I'm not talking to you. I'm gonna do my own. Hey, cancel this mic out. I'm gonna do my own monologue.
Wait, hey, do brown rice come from Mexico?
Dude.
I'm just asking. Like chocolate milk comes from black cows. You didn't know that?
Man. I don't know. Did we make enough fun of the LGBT community?
I think so. You know why like most banks are owned by white people? They're good at taking credit from everything. Yeah. Hashtag rock and roll music. Boom.
You know what? Metal music is white people music, and you can't take that from me.
Hey. You know why? You know originally women had 2 left hands?
I'm sorry.
Because women's rights don't really exist. Hey, that's why most of them are liberal. Because no women on the right, women rights high.
Let me go ahead and public service announcement.
Which is it's funny. I support rights for everybody. Let me just crack these jokes. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what to do anymore.
I don't see why people hate gay people. Like, 'cause I love unicorns. You know what I'm saying? It's a majestic creature.
No, see, I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, I don't have a problem with anybody in the LGBT community until you try and dictate what I should or shouldn't say. Like,
I support the Care Bears. It was a dope show as a cartoon. I eat Lucky Charms cereal. You know what I mean? Just yeah. I mean,
Irish people probably don't like that.
First of all, my last name is Kelly. That's Irish. So
I've always been told I'm German, right? So I took one of those ancestry DNA tests.
yeah,
I am Scottish, Irish, and like English.
dope.
I didn't even know I had anything English.
That's
in
why
me.
you like drinking beer, dope time, and you got a sweet beard. So
Hey, I appreciate that.
yeah, but you know, like a lot of black people have like Irish and like Gaelic last names because
Yeah.
like it's like a theory that the nuns are the ones that took them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. Good old potato famine. Yeah, so dope time cracking these jokes. I think we reached the end of this lovely trail.
Things about that time?
Yeah, why not? I mean, I can't keep offending people. Like whoever make it to the very end of this, I'm like, Jesus, what's wrong with this kid? He just sat here just saying random stuff.
Well, I enjoyed ruining any future possible political run that I may have had. You know, it was a slim chance to start with, and you have just.
No, because I'm the one that said everything. All you gotta do is just denounce me.
But the white guy is associated with you, and you made the joke, and I'm still going to take all the heat for it.
Nah, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just be like, because what I'll do is I'll be like, I would not vote for that guy. Reverse psychology. Everybody that wasn't gonna vote for you gonna vote for you. You know, long game. You know what I mean?
So you running for parish council next election, or what?
I don't know, man. Like I actually want to do good and change stuff. So like I don't think like it will work. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not corrupt enough to be a Louisiana politician. I
I
ain't sold enough drugs or killed enough people.
No, like I'll do it, but like I think like I would actually try to do too much good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, people don't like that.
Yeah, no.
You got to be put in somebody's pocket first.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder what the kill streak of like our politicians in this state are. Got to be crazy numbers, right?
Oh man, see, he's trading on danger. He was already talking about some guy in a cell. Like I don't know, but now he's talking about. Are you talking about Call of Duty? Like I heard they're great at playing Call of Duty. I'm more of a Battlefield guy myself. I mean, that's the only kill streak I acknowledge. I don't know where this conversation is going.
Yeah. So before we drag this out any longer, this has been episode 3 of the On the Fence podcast, and 2 short notes to leave off with. 3. Again, thanks to everybody listening to the podcast. We do this to be involved with you guys, and it truly is a blessing for us to be able to do this. One more thing, Epstein didn't kill himself. And the last thing, taxation is theft. Overthrow your government.